Hey, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri Appellate Attorney. I'm retired, and this is not legal advice. Everything I say is simply commenting on the law, and this will be what we're commenting on today. We're back in the Melody Ferris trial again today, and I want to look at some testimony from day 11, and I want to then sort of summarize where this case is. Now, I don't think of myself as a particularly cruel person. You know, someone who would pull the wings off of flies or, gig frogs for sport, be mean, cruel, just for the sheer fun of being mean and cruel. It's sometimes fun to play the Grinch at Christmas, but I wouldn't actually want to be like the Grinch. There's a big difference between uh, doing things that are funny and doing things that are just mean. So I'm not going to be mean to you today, but I do have a point to make about what it's like to be a juror, and especially if some of you have not had the opportunity to watch the first part of day 11, which was a huge snooze fest. Watch while the jury gets to listen to phone calls.
Judge, by stipulation this time, we're going to play some calls with the defendant while she was at the adult detention center here in Cherokee County. There are 25. The first set are with Amanda Ferris. There's 6 calls here. At this time, I tender in two evidence calls 1 through 25. Any objections?
Okay. All right, y'all agree to the foundation that they were voluntary calls and she's aware of them, and instead of making the witness come in from the jail, and that there's a recording at the beginning explaining to them that the calls are being recorded tomorrow.
In order to move things along for this jury, we stipulate.
All right.
Just calls 1 is June 25th, 2019 call. I'm going to play it now.
All right.
Remain on the line. Hold for acceptance.
It's 8 minutes, 3 seconds.
All right.
This is a prepaid call from an inmate at a correctional. Your call has been accepted.
What?
Hello.
Hey.
Hey. No, hit it back there.
Hey, Ma.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Are you able to drop out of the house while you're out tonight?
I guess. Are we? We can.
No, just drop by there and see what's going on.
Okay. What are you doing?
Well, I came back downstairs and wondering I've been walking, and then it came, and I got phone time. So.
Oh, well. Oh. Yeah. I was on the phone with David when you called. We have to meet up and have dinner and all that.
Okay.
But I don't have time. I've got to get all that stuff written down for your attorney.
Okay.
Give this tomorrow. So I've got to go home and get started on that.
Okay.
But what kind of stuff, do you know what kind of stuff that they send from that jail pack?
Do it now? Yeah, I just
I'm going to send you, yeah, I'm just going to look it up and see.
No, we're here for you. Hang in there. We're going to do whatever we can to make this shit go away.
Yeah, I know. It hopefully will go away sooner than later.
Yeah. I don't care when it goes away.
Right. Well, I'll just be glad to be able to talk with you all in person.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I can't take any more of this. They went through 25 calls, and pretty much all they established was, again, Melody Ferris is an ugly person, a nasty person. She doesn't like many people, and she was having an affair with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend is no better person than she is. The thing that I thought was most interesting about this was her telling him to shut up before he buried her. That's in one of the clips. I could have taken the time to stick that in here, but I wanted to get this video out. I have a number of time commitments today that are keeping me from doing things that I would like to do. But what I thought I would do is go back through some of the evidence and just kind of let you know where I see the evidence as it stands right now. So as you probably know, the GBI's forensic pathologist, this Dr. Atkinson, said that Gary Ferris died as a result of a gunshot wound. He was shot in the chest, and the manner of death was homicide. And Melody Ferris's DNA was identified on the shifter of the Kubota tractor and one blue shoe inside the home. Well, you would expect her DNA to be on the Kubota tractor if she knew how to operate it, because when you touch things like that, you leave touch DNA. Again, not exactly a damning piece of evidence. And then they said that the Scott Ferris and Melody Ferris both had their hands swabbed for fire accelerants. Both of them were negative. And when the forensic scientists went looking for evidence of murder in the home, they spread some luminol around, which is the chemical that glows kind of a blue when the ultraviolet light is shined on it, and that indicates the presence of blood. And they found perhaps some presence of blood, or at least some attempts to clean up the presence of blood. I think those are important findings. Those are probably much more important than the touch DNA on the tractor, because if she had used the tractor, or would be expected to have been using the tractor, it would be perfectly normal for her DNA to be on it. One of the first paramours of the lovely Mrs. Ferris was Mr. Wiley, who said that he was unaware that anyone knew about their relationship until after the incident, which I find to be amazingly funny given the fact that they saw each other out in public and that they were seen by Gary Ferris's children, which again is just unbelievable to me. Now, we also found out that Gary Ferris had an affair with his personal legal assistant, and that he stopped responding to the emails that she was sending after 3:30 on July 4th. And we finally got some forensic evidence in the case. They found bullets in the basement floor of the residence where these two people lived, Gary and Melody. And the one that they found embedded in Gary Ferris's ribs was fired from the same gun as the one that was found on the basement floor. But it's unknown if they are they're the same brand of bullet. And I'm not even certain that that is important. The fact is, they found two bullets, one of them in somebody, one of them in the basement, and it does sort of argue for the fact that he was killed in the basement. And if that's the case, then people who had access to the basement tend to be the most likely suspects, and Melody would certainly be one of those. And then jurors heard testimony from the second lover, Rusty Barton. Barton was interviewed by the cops back in July of 2018, and he said he spoke with Melody in the early morning hours of July 4th, and she told him that Gary was in the burn pile. Now, he then later said that he and his attorney both tried to recant that statement because he made it when he felt like he was under duress. Well, that might be easy to understand as we move through the evidence here as to why he might have felt a little bit of duress. During a jailhouse call, Melody asked him to please stop talking. And she said, look, you're going to hang me single-handedly. Rusty Barton also is the one who turned her in to the police, or drove her to the police station so she could turn her in. He didn't actually provide them with very much evidence at that point. But what I find tremendously funny was that Rusty Barton's girlfriend in 2017 wrote an email to Gary Ferris that Barton was having an affair with Melody Ferris. So, again, I thought that was pretty funny. Melody took great pains to disguise her movements. She went on a some kind of a little junket with Rusty, and she sent her debit card to a friend who was going to Minnesota. You know, Melody was having an affair. Gary was having an affair. Why couldn't they sit down like normal human beings and say, you know what, this is over for us. We're still going to have kids together. We're still going to have grandkids together. Let's be civil to one another. You go your way, I'll go mine. We'll split this stuff down the middle. It is amazing to me that people never reach that conclusion. Instead, they find themselves, if not in divorce court, they find themselves in circuit court on trial for murder. That's a bad thing. He came back to the witness stand later on, and he told the jury that he lied about Melody having said that Gary was in the burn pile. Now, for lawyers, that's almost as good as a confession, because which time were you lying? When you said he was in the burn pile, or when you said that you were lying about him being in the burn pile? Because how would you even know about the burn pile? You know, why would you think that was important on July 4th if it hadn't occurred? So this repeatedly trying to recant his statement doesn't make him look good, and it doesn't make Melody look good. Now, here's the part where I think Rusty might have a little bit of a problem. He told the jury that none of his guns were missing, and that his stepmother, Martha Jane, wasn't missing any guns either. And of course, the police tested his .357 and determined it wasn't the murder weapon. And this is the part that I find absolutely hilarious. Barton was dating another woman in Tennessee while he was having an affair with Melody Ferris. Many of you may be familiar with a song by Bobby Bare called The Winner. It's actually a musical portion of a great poem written by Shel Silverstein that deals with what it's like to be a brawler and a scrapper and somebody who gets into fights. And the funniest part of that song is you see this broken back. My broken back was the dying act of a handsome Harry Clay. The sticky Cincinnati night, I stole his wife away. And that woman, she gets meaner and she gets uglier every day. But I got her, boy, and that's what makes me the winner. Boy, if there was ever a situation that song fit into, it has to be this one. I don't know how you could sleep next to Melody Ferris and not wonder if you were going to be next. Maybe that's why Barton did work a little bit with the police. Now, law enforcement asked Barton to record some of his conversations, which he did. Rusty Barton's internet searches during this time frame came in, and it was like, how do you keep the police from getting your cell phone number? How do they get all your text messages? What do they do with your text messages when they get them? And all of these things just are amazing to me, that you would go and do a Google search on your computer to look for these kinds of things. You may as well just draft a note to the police that say, I did it, I was part of it, and here's why. So the thing that I find funny about him testifying that none of his guns were missing and that he talked to Martha Jane and none of her guns were missing, the funny part about that is that Martha Jane Barton contacted the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office on October 18th, in other words, just a couple of days ago, to report that her .38 Special snub-nose revolver was missing from her home. She allowed as to how the police never asked her if she was missing any guns in 2018, but after she watched Barton's testimony on Law and Crime, she knew that they were talking about the gun that was given to her as a Christmas gift in the late 1970s. So she went and looked, and shazam, that snub-nose revolver wasn't there. And then jurors heard all of these telephone calls between Melody and Rusty Barton. So now you pretty much have a full picture of what evidence has come in. There's going to be more evidence that comes in today. All of this, at this point, they haven't put the gun in her hand, but they have certainly made it likely that she acquired that gun through Rusty Barton. And here is the key question. if indeed Rusty Barton provided her the firearm, he is a co-conspirator, and he should be charged too. He should be charged with facilitating the murder of Gary Ferris. And I think the only reason that they didn't charge him at this point is that they needed his testimony to convict her. While this has been a largely circumstantial case, and it has been some of the most boring testimony I have ever heard in a courtroom, the fact is they've actually done a pretty thorough job of weaving together all of the threads that make up this quilt of guilt on Melody Ferris. And at this point, I don't see how the jury, if they can get just a little bit more to point directly at Melody, I think even at this point they've got enough to convict, but I'm really interested in seeing what comes in the rest of the week. So thank you very much for watching. If you found this interesting, drop me a like, and if not, that's okay too. Come on back and we'll do this again tomorrow. In the meantime, if you would, do a kindness for somebody. Do something nice for a stranger or a loved one or someone who just needs a little extra attention today. Like I always say, we can make the world a better place one person at a time if we do that. Thanks for being here. Come on back tomorrow. Join me down here at the beach. We'll talk about something else. I shouldn't have to say this, but you don't seek legal advice from a guy down at the beach. You seek it from a lawyer in a lawyer's office, where there are people running around in suits and secretaries and all kinds of other people. I'm just a YouTuber. I'm a retired attorney at this point, and although I retain my license to practice in the state of Missouri, I am not here dispensing legal advice. I'm just offering general content on the law. And here are some videos that YouTube thinks you may enjoy.